Hello, Christian. It's Dad. It's been a year. This is the anniversary of us losing you, and so I thought it might be appropriate to send a message and just let you know how we're doing. And I thought about writing a letter. I know your mom said that she's going to write a letter, and I wrote you a letter for your memorial. But I thought maybe this time I'll shoot a video. Because I just want you to know what's been going on. A lot has happened since we lost you. Well, for starters, we had the memorial service for you, and this memorial service, there's a lot of people that showed up. I think they had seating for 400, and it was pretty packed. Our friends, your friends, just people we grew up with. And if we could have included the people from Thailand as well, that room would not have been big enough. So, that's a testimony of your impact. So I just want you to know that was there. It's kind of sad. At the same time that we had our service, the Mammon family was having a service for their son, Joel. He also lost his life to suicide about a month earlier than you. And both services were on that day. So because of that, we've kind of developed a unique bond with that family. And Joel's dad, Dave, and I, we write to each other. We've been doing that throughout the year. Different things, different memories, joys, sorrows. It's been helpful having somebody that, another guy that I can reach out to. These are kind of difficult things to talk about. So, after that memorial service, we eventually picked up your electronics from the police station and left that in a corner for a while because, it's all password protected. And figured I'll have to figure out how to do that at some other time. And when I opened up your phone and saw that your screen, I wanted to check your screen to see if you still had that picture of you and me at your graduation. And when I saw that your screen was actually a message with the code to get into your phone and that you had left a note. Wow, that was pretty powerful for all of us. Because there's a lot of unanswered questions, and you pretty much answered them in that note, and that was great. I'll reference some parts of that here because it has carried meaning for all of us. And so, Christian, we are so thankful that you at least had enough compassion for all of us to take the time to write that note. In that note, I'm also thankful that you professed your faith in Jesus Christ. I can't tell you, as a fellow believer, how comforting it is to know that even in your last days, where your faith lies. And Christian, I cannot fathom how difficult it must have been to write those words because you reached out to each of us individually, and how hard it must have been to put that onto paper, knowing that it's an absolute and there's no turning back from that. So again, thank you for doing that. It is a huge part of how I'm able to heal the way that I am, and I'm sure it's helped your mom and your brothers. You mentioned in your note that you are doing a long-term fix to a short-term problem. So I know that you recognize that. I wish it could have been better, but we kind of have to move forward now because this is the reality of what it is, and so the task is to move forward. And I want you to know that for the most part, we have. So I want you to also know that we did something. We had some necklaces made. You can see here. These necklaces are made in the shape of a football, and there's a little bit of your ash inside each of the necklaces, and we all have them and we wear them. It's great for me because when I go to bed at night, I take it off and it makes me think about you before my head hits the pillow. And then when I wake up and I start my day, I put it back on. So again, I get to think about my son as I go throughout starting my day. So you're with me all the time. And there's times that I'll feel the necklace on my chest and it just reminds me. But you're still my son, and I love you immensely. So in the time since we received the news, my company, oh my gosh, they have been incredible with their support. We got the news, and I didn't go to work from the day that it happened, and I actually wasn't sure if I would return to microchip. I thought, I don't know how I'm going to work. I am just so lost right now. And they were patient with me. I actually didn't return to work for 2 months, and they supported us through that 2 months. And I came back with a newfound appreciation for that team and for my company. That just the selflessness that they had to help me get through this really difficult time. And we didn't have that 2 months. It wasn't wasted. We visited with a family that came to your memorial service, spent a lot of time with family and friends. Even your Uncle John, he came from Alaska. I hadn't seen or heard from him in years. And we were the best of friends in high school. And we were very good friends post high school. And then we just it was a season, right? And as we faded away, I always missed having that relationship and seeing him at the memorial service. It was amazing. And, the tragedy of losing you, it is such a tragedy, but there are some small joys like that. And being able to see John and to reconnect with him, it's a blessing. So after visiting with the families locally, we took a couple of trips. First trip, we went to Idaho, and we visited with your Uncle Frank and your Aunt Marcy and our relatives there in Emmett, and your grandma and all that. And we got to go do some of Frank's passion, and that is fishing. So we went out to Swan Falls. That's the place that's nearby his house, that river. And we took his riverboat out and did a little bass fishing and did some sturgeon fishing and caught some big fish again. And most of the sturgeon were pretty small, but that's okay. Just spending time with my brother there, eating snacks and having some drinks and non-alcoholic drinks. But doing that kind of activity, it's always a good time with him. And even though they were difficult, it was great. And we also we went there for a purpose, and that was to attend Austin's wedding reception. He got married in Hawaii. We didn't attend the wedding, but we were able to be there for his reception. So that was great that we could be there and be that support for him. After we did Idaho, we took a trip to Seattle. Got to visit with Fallon and Tygan, and we stayed with Fallon for a number of days, and she would make us these amazing breakfast creations every day. And I went on a lot of hikes with her and the dogs and Fiona. And then what's kind of funny is Gabe, he got a little shadow that seemed to follow him everywhere. And it was Fiona. And she just loved Gabe to pieces. He just could not get out from underneath her. She always wanted to be with him. So gave him a little bit of a preview of what it's like to have a young child that just adores you. So that was pretty sweet to see. So while we were in Washington, your mom set up a trip for us to go to Leavenworth, which is kind of a neat German-style town in Seattle. And we stayed in a really nice, kind of like a cabin of sorts, a bunch of different places there. And near the cabin, there were places to go hiking. So we were hiking along this trail, and there's a riverbank, and then there's the other side of the trail. And on that other side, we spotted some bear cubs. Now, your mom, she always referred to you as her Boo Bear. And it was just, it was almost poetic that we would see bears, actual bears, in the wild while we were out there. Some people, they have different things like a breeze that goes through the air, or butterflies, or different things that remind them of their lost one. And a bear is going to remind your mom of you. But when will we ever see a bear? And for that to happen, it was amazing. I mean, it was truly amazing. And speaking of amazing, your mom got this amazing tattoo. I mean, look at this thing. It is incredible. She had this idea in her head, and she just kind of scribbled it out, and it was a neat thought. But what the artist came up with, I was blown away. She gets so many compliments about this tattoo, and what's nice is it's got a story, right? You have the butterfly there that has the semicolon, and the semicolon is for suicide awareness. There are birds on the side that are flying away, and the bird in the top that's flying a different direction that shows that you went a different way. And then, just all of the the meaning that comes from that shows how much your mom is thinking through all of this. So in September, now I'm back to work. We're in Thailand. I got an opportunity to cheer on your cousin Brady. He competed in the Tahoe 200-mile endurance race. I think it's actually like 206 and a half, something like that. It's longer than 200 miles, and it spans like 3 days. And he runs all through the day and the night, getting a little bit of rest here and there, but it's an endurance race. It's really long. And I tell you this because Brady, he ran this race. Christian, he ran it to honor you. And if you can see on his backpack, that little button in the corner there is in your honor. And he ran that whole race in your honor. And when he completed the race, all blistered up and everything, that's quite a meaningful accomplishment for anybody. He took the race bib and the buttons. He made a couple of extra, and he gave those to me and your mom. And I thought, what an amazing guy. I love that kid. So we want to continue to support him as he does that. That's awesome. So that was September. So in October, I did a mission trip. So the year before, I had gone to Cambodia with Compass Christian Church. They were doing a trip there, and Cambodia is right around the corner. So I thought, I'll just take a short flight there, and I'll meet up with you guys, and we'll do that project. And I had such a wonderful experience with them that I wanted to do it again the next year. So after losing you, I kind of debated, and I thought, I need to do this. This is life-giving to serve. So I'm going to do it. And so I took the trip, and we went to a church out in the middle of nowhere. This organization is called FCOP, and they have, I think, over 106 churches they've planted since they've been there. And this church needed a fence built all the way around it. So we were building it for days, and then on the last days, we're getting the last things done. Oh man, it started pouring rain, and it was just dumping on us, and we were all. But in actuality, it felt so good because it was so hot that day, and so we got to finish out with the angels crying tears of joy at what we did in service of our Lord. So that was great. So after my mission trip, we took a trip to Siem Reap. I met your mom and Gabe there, and we visited a lot of temples, like Angkor Wat. It's one of those bucket list things. You should visit Angkor Wat before you die. And so we did that, and visited some other temples as well. One of which was called the Tomb Raider Temple. So you can see the picture here. This is a famous shot that's in the movie Tomb Raider. That tree is a telltale sign as it surrounds that room. So there's people lined up everywhere to take that particular shot. But there's so many beautiful temples there to see. And then we went and saw a village that is on stilts. The entire community. You get around by boat, and finished it off with this nice sunset pic. And it was a nice trip there, me and your mom and Gabe. So that was a neat experience that Gabe will have for a while. So following the trip to Siam Reap, Gabe was finishing up his volleyball. He got made it to the JV team, and he was a libero. Him and Nate Scranton both shared that position, and they made it all the way to the championship match. It was them against Harrow, and now the year before, Harrow just dominated all the competition, just undefeated and just crushing everybody. And they were good this year as well. But once they got to ISB, there were a couple things that ISB surprised them, and it got them out of their game. And in the end, ISB they just dominated Harrow. It was unreal. It was an unreal victory, and it was amazing. And Gabe and his team, they took gold that year. So remember Coach Tewitt, he was so happy and proud of his boys. So it was a nice accomplishment, and it was one of those things that was a proud moment for Gabe, because he got a gold medal, and he was able to have something there that reminds him of his brothers, and because both of you and Nathan were into volleyball, and now he is as well. And Gabe is also following in your footsteps in regards to drama. He really likes doing drama. So I guess that talent exists in multiple places in our family. So I thought you should know that. So later in October, your mom accomplished something I never thought she would do. I'm pretty sure she never thought she would do. She got dive certified. I stopped asking because I figured I'm going to be pressuring her to do something that she really just doesn't want to do. But then she decided that, there's some things that she had on her list of things that she may do. But losing you, it kind of fast forward a lot of that stuff. And she just decided, I'm gonna do this. And she committed it, and she did all the lessons. And then I went with her for her certification dives, and she's now a certified open water diver. And it was great timing because we were planning on going diving when your Uncle Frank and Aunt Marcy and your brother showed up in December for vacation. So it was amazing. Shocking, but amazing. Now for me, December had a pretty big milestone. So I had been going for my MBA, and at the end of 2018, I had put a pretty aggressive schedule in place that, 2018. I put a pretty aggressive schedule in place that I would have my MBA before the end of 2019. So it was a little more than a year to finish it. But it's aggressive. It should really take about 2 years to do it. And midway through that program is when we got the news regarding you. And Christian, I fought a lot of desire to quit because I just felt like I can't focus on this while having all these thoughts in my head about you and on this tragedy. But then something clicked inside of me and said, Roger, you need to do this to show not only Christian, but your boys that God is stronger than all of this, that he is much more powerful than this tragedy. And so I committed. I devoted as much as I could to my studies. And Christian, I'm very happy to tell you that mid-December, I received my MBA. So it was hard, and there were a couple classes that I had to get extensions on and work with the teachers to finish those classes while still doing the classes that were continuing. But I did, and I think I got 3.91 GPA. I wanted a 4.0 so bad, but I just had a couple classes that messed me up. But anyway, we move on. Shortly after I got my MBA, I accepted the role as elder of our church here in Thailand. I was an elder at Chandler Christian, now Compass Christian, and I served there for about 6 years. And I've always enjoyed that. And I know that you always saw me in that role. You talked to me about that before, even when I was talking about being an elder. I know before you lost your life, you had told me that I should be. That's where I need to be. Um, and so I listened to that, and I decided, yeah, uh, it's good for that legacy. It's good for your brothers to still see me in that role. And so I took it on, and it's been challenging, but more rewarding than challenging. So I continue. And at the same time, your mom decided to become the ministry lead for missions outreach. So what a perfect position for her, right? She loves to serve people, and now that's the role that she has in the church. So whether she was doing that in the church or not, she's going to keep serving. But now she can kind of um, link the church members together to increase her ability to serve. It wasn't too long after getting that role that we were serving locally in the community, and then in December, when your brothers and your Uncle Frank and Aunt Marcy showed up, it was literally the day after we're doing a service project. We had gone downtown to serve some Pakistani families, me and your Uncle Frank and your brothers, and she and a group of others went into the slums around Nonthaburi, where we live, and served people there. So I loved that your brothers and your Aunt Marcy and Uncle Frank were able to see us in that environment, because that helps everybody to see why that's so important to us, and why service is a vital part of our ministry work, and the things that we do in our community. So we celebrated Christmas in Kochang, and so that's as you can see here. It was nice. We got a Airbnb, really nice place. We sent you pictures, before we lost you. And oh man, we really wish that you could have been there for it. It was so nice. So in addition to hanging out at the Airbnb, we also got your mom underwater, and so her and me and your Uncle Frank and Isaiah, we all went diving. Now your Aunt Marcy, she's open water certified, but she decided maybe next time. So Christian, it was later in this trip that we decided to release some of your ashes. It was our intent that we would take you with us to places that we enjoyed, that we know that you also enjoyed, so that we could slowly do that. I did it with Coach Greg. We went to the fields, Discovery Park and Tumbleweed, and spread your ashes there, because that's where you did flag football. That was pretty somber, but I was happy that Coach Greg was able to do that with me. And then I spread some more ashes near your Aunt Fallon's place at Lake Washington. And then we came here. This particular one, it was harder. Kochang has a special place for all of us, and you not being there and then spreading your ashes, it really impacted me. I had a really hard night. So I'm feeling that going forward, as we continue to spread your ashes, it's going to become more and more difficult. But I like that we're doing that, and we'll continue to do that. So in 2020, I started something new. I started running, and I decided that I wanted to start competing. Doing some 10Ks, maybe a half marathon. Something to get back into what I used to do. So I ran my first 10K in February. And it was it was through the downtown Bangkok, which is kind of cool. See all the temples and the city and all that. And that was great. And then COVID-19 happened, and everything shut down. The whole world went into lockdown, and different countries locked down different times, but pretty much by March, it got to be pretty much everywhere. In the States has been going crazy with the number of cases. And so lots of states have been on shelter at home, and lots of people aren't working in their businesses. Small businesses are suffering. But in the midst of all this, beginning of April, Christian, we got some horrible news. Your Aunt Angie, her youngest son Tristan, your cousin Tristan, he also lost his life to suicide. And Christian, it was just like, we were just shocked and dumbfounded. We didn't know what to think, what to do. But what I did know is how much pain your Aunt Angie was going through, because I know the pain that I went through. And so I reached out to her every day, every minute, several posts a day, just reaching out to her and helping her through that process. And she would tell me that it helped her so much because she knows that I had been through that myself with you, and so she would listen to what I'd say, and I would help her rationalize the grieving process that she had, and tell her, this is very normal what you have. To please continue to grieve and go through this. And it was helpful to her. So I wonder if you're thinking, how's my family now? Well, let me take a moment now and just kind of give you an update on each of us. As you reached out to each of us in your letter, let me kind of tell you, what's happening now. Let me start with Gabe. So, Christian, you left Gabe with a pretty big responsibility. And in your words, this is what you said. You said, "Be the best of us, since you've always been the most pure form of joy I've ever known." Those pretty big shoes to fill. But I can tell you that Gabe he's a kid with a lot of joy, in his heart, in his actions. He is still that kid. He's a little broken down because of this, but he's still he's a guy that just has a lot of joy in his heart. So he's trying to meet that request that you made for him. His doing volleyball with Coach DeWitt, and you see his athleticism at work. That's great. His talents that he has into drama, again, following in your footsteps there. He's just, he's a ham, and he loves doing those types of things. He also, in very recent time, he has started dating. So he has a girlfriend now, and so we get to experience that once again. She's sweet. She's quiet. She's from Taiwan, I think. Her name's Sheena. And Gabe and I still do the walks at night, like I did with Nathan, like I did with you when we were in Arizona, and sometimes here in Thailand. But, I've always appreciated going on walks with my boys, because it's when you guys really connect with me, and you are a lot more open and talkative. And I just appreciate being able to get that out of you. And if it means going on a walk, then I'll just keep doing that. And that's Gabe. So let's talk about Nathan. So you saw Nathan as the mediator in the family. The one that when we're fighting, he's the one that always wants to kind of step in and rationalize things and get people to calm down. Well, that's not changed. Nathan is still, he's still like that. He's still like that. And even with him being in the States, he continually reaches out. He sends quick text messages to check in and ask me how I'm doing. Ask your mom, and he's probably the most responsive out of all of you. And I appreciate that he still does that. His passion is still music. He produces a lot of beats. He's made many since you were passing. And interestingly enough, now he's even turned to singing. He's found a way to take his voice and transform it into all different kinds of sounds. He can make his voice higher or lower or his same tone. He knows the auto-tune features too. He can do all kinds of stuff that I've heard on the radio. And now he's even working with Cody. So much like losing you brought my friend John to me. Losing Tristan has connected Cody and Nate together, which is great because they're both artists, they're both creators. So it'll be interesting to see what they do together. Nathan is also someone who expresses his emotions through his music. And so you hear that. Sometimes the lyrics that he has, they're hard for me to hear because there's a lot of pain in those lyrics. But at the same time, it's life-giving to hear those because it shows me that he's processing, and it helps me to know that he may not be able to verbalize those thoughts to me, but he can put it in a song, and it helps him to release. So I appreciate that he does that. He also moved back to the States. He initially was there living with Jen Surratt, and she supported him for some time, but then they sold their house. So then he moved in with James Silva for a little bit while we were in a transition period. And then we eventually got him an apartment that's pretty much in the same complex as Isaiah. So now they're both very close to each other. And they're close enough that they can see each other often, but they're far enough away that they can have that separation when they need it. So that's good. And I think it's healthy. And so far, he's been doing great being on his own. So now we talk about your big brother, Isaiah. Christian, I really like what you wrote to him. From your letter, you talk about how you truly admired him as your big brother. In your own words, you said, "Besides Dad and Jesus, there's no other man in my life I've looked up to so much." And it's great that you saw him that way. I'm sure at times Isaiah may not have felt that way, that you felt that way about him. So it's good that you made that clear, that you cared about him that much. So Isaiah is still working at Cyrus One, but now he got a little bit into the dating scene, kind of dipped his toe in, but then he found this amazing girl, and her name is Ashley. So if you look at this picture here, they just look like they were made to be together, right? They match each other so well. And I think your Aunt Fallon and your Aunt Erica are worried about how much your mom and I gush on Ashley, that we're pushing too hard and too fast on her. And we probably are, but can't help it. They just look so good together. So hopefully she doesn't get upset with that. But they're also talking about getting a dog together. Ashley wants to get a French bulldog, and Isaiah doesn't seem very warmed up on the idea. So every Saturday morning for us, Friday evening for the States, we do a family Zoom call. And on that call, we were talking about the dogs. And so Isaiah was losing that battle. Yeah, you could see this defeated look on his face as everybody was promoting, yeah, you should get a French bulldog. And Isaiah's like, what? Okay, and we come to your mom. Christian, I know it was a struggle for you to write to your mom. I can't imagine how hard it was for you to put those words on paper. I can tell you how hard it was for your mom to read those words. It's tough. Your mom goes through such a wide gamut of emotions, almost daily. I mean, it's not as bad now. It's been a year, but still, it's a daily thing. It's pick up your cross daily, right? And that's one cross that she has, and it's hard for her. In your own words, this is what you said. This is probably the hardest part to write. And I believe it. You took your mom through hell and back, and she was always by your side. Your words again, she was always in your corner. I think, what did you say? You called her your constant and the caretaker of your sanity. So yeah, she was that constant in your life. She was always there. And then you also said this: please know that your bear is finally resting in peace. So you actually said that in your letter, and then we saw that bear in Leavenworth. So that was very special for your mom. So she still has a lot of tears. There's a lot of things that are confusing to her. She still tries to piece together, what happened. I think that she's done enough of it now that she has a better understanding, but it doesn't stop the tears. Doesn't stop the what if. There's times when we'll go through those questions, and it's the way that she processes. She's still working for 1-800 Accountants. There's a school in Thailand called Global English School, or GES. So she took on a role there as their finance director or manager or something there. She's running the finance group, and she's helping to get everything back in order for that school. And then, of course, the missions outreach. Your mom is never without something to do. That's her heart, right? She has a heart to serve in so many ways, and she continues to do that. And that's what we all love about her. And then, of course, what I really love about her is she's now certified open water diver. So I have a lot of that in my future. Okay, now it comes to me. So, Christian, the words that you wrote to me were extremely penetrating. You said, I don't know what I can say here to make this any better for you, besides assuming you can hopefully know I'm at peace now. Christian, that is what keeps me from going crazy, is knowing that you are at peace, and knowing that if you were still on earth, you would be in so much more pain. And the fact that you are without pain right now, and that you are in paradise, and you are at the place that I eventually want to end up at, that brings me a lot of peace. So knowing that you are at peace brings me peace, and it settles my heart. So the fact that you wrote that, I just want you to know that is what I feel. And then you also said, I'm sorry I never gave you the chance to see me one more time. And that is truth. That is something that that haunted me for a while, that I did not get a chance to see you again. It made for some very hard nights. But then I had some dreams not too long after all this happened, that you showed up in the dream. And in my subconscious, I recognized that you shouldn't have been there. And I recognized that, this is not right. And when I figured it out, I hugged you immediately. And when you hugged me back, Christian, it felt like it was really you. And I woke up that day feeling like, even though I didn't have one last chance to see you, that I actually did see you in my dream. And that has moved me forward in a huge way. Now, you've come into my dreams a couple of other times, but none was as impactful as that first time, because I just knew. I knew that you were gone, but yet you were there, and that gave me that final goodbye. So however that works, whether it's my own subconscious or that's God intervening and helping me through that path, all I can say is, thank you. Thank you for saying goodbye. And I'll tell you, when I worked on my MBA, what I realized going through that and continuing is that I could not have done it on my own power. God, when you release it to God and you tell God, I need you to help me with this, He gives you so much strength. And I found a lot of strength in Him. He got me through your loss, through Tristan's loss, through my trials with my MBA, all of that. God intervened in it, and I'm so thankful for that. And I think now that I've returned into the role of the elder, He's going to continue to reach out in meaningful ways so that I can start meeting the things that He needs me to do while I'm here in Thailand. Because I know that although microchip got me here, there's something I need to do. And Christian, I'm going to continue to serve, because I know that right now my God is taking care of you. And for that, I owe Him everything. And so I will continue to serve Him while I'm here. And I also think about the fact that when Angie lost Tristan, God gave me those words to help my sister through that trial. So, although it pains me to not have you here, I'm so grateful that God, in His providence, knew that that should be the order. First you, then Tristan, so that I would have the knowledge and the strength to carry her. And I love that God knows that, and He makes a plan even there. I do have some news for you though. This this day, 1 year after your passing, Nathan is dropping his EP on SoundCloud. It's several songs that he has done to honor you. Much like Brady ran his race, Nathan has been spending the last year producing and mixing and singing and developing and all this stuff to make this. And it's his tribute to his older brother that he admired and respected so much. And now that is out on SoundCloud. And I think that is awesome. It's an awesome use of the talent that he has. So that's for you. I also see a lot of encouraging things coming from your friends that you grew up with and the friends you had in Thailand, like Kara Sidlowski and Zach Heineke. They just got engaged, and that's just awesome. Kyler, he's in the military serving in Korea. Kyler has a significant other now, and I see lots of pictures of her and him together, and that's great to see him happy like that. Lexi, she posted that she graduated from ASU, even though they didn't have a formal graduation ceremony because of COVID. She's a graduate, so now it's on to her next step. And then Phil Turner, you had a great impact on him, even with the short time that you guys had together. He still reaches out to Mom and talks about how much you mean to him. Seamus, he did something to raise suicide awareness. So you've got friends doing a lot of really, really great things. And we love hearing about their successes. It's just wonderful. At the same time, it does make us a little sad because we wonder about you, and if you were still here, what would you be doing right now? But we can't focus on the what if, right? So where am I now? Christian, it is incredibly hard to live this life without you. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It sucks. But it is what it is. There are some days, though, that just feel so incredibly suffocating. And it's just hard to breathe, hard to think, hard to do anything. There's times that I can't get out of my head the day that you took your life. And I just think about the steps that you took, buying all that alcohol to numb your mind, finding the gun that Vern had, and then going through the process of putting that gun to your head, what you were thinking in those final moments that was the absolute, this is going to happen. And the feeling of loneliness, solitude, that's hard for me. As a parent, it's hard for me to know that you were in that place, and I didn't even know. But I will heal from that. I will continue to figure out a way. Just know that your dad is very sad that you had to go through that way. But I want you to know, I don't drown in those thoughts. I mean, I have those thoughts, but it's not all consuming. They come and they go, much like the waves, right? And I want you to know that I don't focus on the what if. I focus on the what is. And the reality is you are in paradise. So it's painful for me, but you're not in pain. So I need to rest in the fact that you are at peace, out of pain, and in paradise. And I will be there when I finish my race here on earth. I also love the words that you said where you said, I love the Lord finally in the end. The fact that you recognized who your creator is in your final words, that means so much to me. And so actually I'm going to end this video with your final words in the note that you left for us, because it has been the most healing of all. Out of everything you've written, those final words were the most healing for me, because knowing that this is what was in your heart, this is what you were thinking about when you made that decision, that helps remind me that you never lost your faith. In that, my dear, sweet Christian, that is the most important lesson of all. So, from your hand, you wrote, I ask for one final forgiveness from my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I'm saddened to have let him down. I know he is my God, and I'm blessed to have been baptized in the name of the Lord. I love you all. Christian, we love you too, son. We love you too.